Frank,
Yes.
besides being a comedian and a former writer for The Tonight Show for 20 years, you also work as a suicide prevention speaker. Some people would say that, being a comedian, you have to be someone happy in your life. We want to know why is it that, a lot of comics have a dark past and have their own difficulties in life?
Well, comedy is often defined as tragedy plus time. So if you have darkness in your past and time passes, then I think that a lot of creative people, not just comedians, often live with some sort of mental challenge. I think I believe that my depression, thoughts of suicide are simply the flip side of my creativity and imagination. Same brain, same wiring. I can teach you to write stand up and perform stand up. I cannot teach you to process the incoming information the way my brain does. My fourth TEDx talk was called Mental with Benefits: The Evolutionary Advantages of Mental Illness, because I kept bumping into people who were super talented in one area or another: actor, singer, comedian, magician, and they had some sort of mental challenge. I thought to myself, this cannot be a coincidence. And come to find out that there is a slice of the population, very creative, also live with a mental challenge, also have a higher rate of suicide. So, there have been a goodly number of comics who have ended their lives. Rich Jenny, super successful, a couple of $1 million in the bank, had the highest rated Showtime special, Platypus Man, I think it was, and they were going to do another one. So it was on the books, and he shot himself in the chest. So, and people would ask me, well, he had millions of dollars in the bank, another Showtime special lined up. Why would he want to kill himself? The answer is, I believe that most people who die by suicide don't want to kill themselves. They just want to end the pain. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to kill myself when I came so close. I just wanted to end the pain. So I think there may be a connection between that sort of creativity or creative mind. Kanye West, for all his politics aside, is probably one of the musical geniuses of his generation. Unfortunately, he's not a PR genius. That would have been helpful. But I do believe he is probably one of the musical geniuses and he lives with bipolar disorder. So, and there's a book called The Bipolar Advantage. And it goes back in history, starts with Alexander Hamilton. And from all the historical reports, it appears he may have been living with bipolar disorder. So it's like I said, I couldn't believe it was a coincidence, and I don't think it is. So it's not just comics; it's people in a creative field.
Okay. So how do you think that connection happens between someone that has mental health issues and the creative mind?
I think, like I said, I believe my creativity, imagination is simply the flip side of my depression and thoughts of suicide. There's a reason that I think the way I do. There's a reason when somebody heckles me that I can come back at them without even thinking, literally without even thinking. I've come back with a heckler. Young woman was being thrown out of the bar, the comedy club. She got drunk, got really raucous. Finally, they couldn't take it. They decided to throw her out. She's headed toward the door. All of a sudden, she's turning back to me, turning around back to me. And I'm thinking, well, probably heard something sounded like her name because drunks are voice activated. And she screamed at me, F you. And I said, without thinking, not even for practice. And got a standing ovation. And people came up afterwards and go, how'd you think that up? I didn't think it. When you heard it, I heard it. I have no idea where that came from.
Yeah, so it just came organically.
Yeah, it's something the way my brain is wired, because everybody else in the room hears it, but they don't process it the same way. They don't turn it around into something funny in a flash. I just think it's almost akin to a superpower. And most superheroes have some. Superman had kryptonite. If you've seen the movie Elektra with Jennifer Garner, she lives with obsessive compulsive disorder. Her character does. So it seems like, and Batman saw his folks killed in front of him when he was 7 or 8 years old. You don't think he's got a little PTSD, and Superman was shot off the planet before it blew up with his folks. Separation anxiety, maybe? So almost every superhero has something. I mean, Spider-Man got bit by a spider. Okay, not everybody. But, so I try to think of it as a superpower. And the reason I did mental with benefits was really to change the frame for kids. Because if you can convince a child that, yes, you have a mental illness, but you know what? You probably got some mental ableness that your peers can't touch. Make them feel special in that way, and then treat the mental illness, but wrap your arms around and embrace and enhance and energize whatever their mental ableness is. Mm-hmm. If they have OCD, for goodness sake, steer them to a career where they value precision and attention to detail, accounting, engineering, banking. Where they pay you really well, and there are 30 or 40 Fortune 500 companies that are specifically hiring people on the autism spectrum for the one thing that they do better than anybody else and paying them handsomely. 85% of people on the autism spectrum are unemployed. They get through high school, but post-high school, there aren't that many benefits. There's not really a track to run on. So these companies realize, let's not worry about what they can't do. Let's take a look at what they can do and put them to work doing that. So that's why I did it for kids and I got to tell you, I've never met a parent with a child with a challenge, as long as they were, relatively high functioning, that didn't have some other ability.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. A lot of times they do. Yeah, that's what we noticed. People on the spectrum, they have such, crazy abilities, to the extreme compared to the, average person or person who's normal.
Yeah. Could be focus, could be, it's and I have that kind of focus. I'm not on the spectrum, but my wife could tell you that if I get focused on something, she could be standing behind me screaming my name, and it's a kind of a gift and a curse in that way. I was in the grocery store one time. I'm in one lane checking out. She's like 4 lanes over checking out. Apparently, she'd been calling my name for almost a minute. And the guy in front of her got tired of her yelling my name, and he turns and he goes, "Hey, dumbass." And I went, "What?" It broke through.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness.
It broke through.
That's what got your attention.
Yeah, but I didn't hear her. I didn't hear her for a minute. She was yelling it. I did not hear it. I was focused on something else.